Welcome back to Over My Dead Pod. I'm Kylie Caldwell.
This is Kate Carter.
And I'm Holly Spear.
I hinted to the girls last week that my story is going to revolve around my favorite city, New Orleans. Of course, there are a lot of possible odd and paranormal cases from the city, but this one in particular is a little bananas. So our story begins to unravel at 8:30 p.m. on October 17th, 2006, when police got an urgent call from staff at the Omni Royal Orleans Hotel in the French Quarter. Police arrived to the scene described in the call. A man had jumped from the top of the hotel, falling 7 stories to his death. After blocking off the scene, the coroner checked his pockets for any form of identification. In the right front pocket of his jeans, police found a plastic bag containing army dog tags, a key, and a note. The paper was folded a few times, and the only thing written on the visible piece was "Police Only." And this is the story of the king and queen of Hurricane Katrina, Zack Bowen and Addie Hall.
Ooh, look at that
Ooh.
little story opener. Okay, I don't know this story.
I don't think I know this story either.
So Zack Bowen was born on May 15th, 1978 in Bakersfield, California, where he lived for a short time with his parents, Lori, Jack, and his older brother, Jed. Before Zack started school, his parents decided they were going to spend time together as a family. So they bought one of those old Volkswagen vans, and they did the little family road trip, hit every state sort of thing before the kids started school. Once they were back home, the dad, Jack, began working for a local oil company but really hated his job. Not only did he become an alcoholic, but he became just a terrible, angry person. One day, he decided not only was he going to quit his job, but he just wasn't going to work at all anymore. This left Lori to make all the money and care for the entire family herself. It didn't take long for Lori to lay down the law and tell Jack to get a job. Jack eventually agreed, but he didn't tell Lori where he was working for a few months. This was because Jack was bartending at a strip club.
Oh, I can see why I didn't tell her. I love the logic too. Like, I hate my job. How about no job? No job? How about bartending at a strip club?
Makes sense to me. The wife, Lori, found out. He cleans up his act, and the family ended up moving to Seattle, where they kind of lived a normal life for a bit. This was until Zack turned 7 and his dad began drinking again. The mom left and took the kids back to California in 1990. So Zack is back in California, he's starting at a new school again, and he's finding it hard to fit in. Was bouncing around a bit, but it was also hard because in high school, Zack was 6'10".
What?
So he was a big boy, easy to spot, easy to pick on. So he knew he would be easy to pick on, so he decided to get in front of it and became the class clown. He kind of started to thrive in high school. He got good grades, he had friends, and he had even been nominated for Homecoming King his senior year. And this was something he really, really wanted to win. It was prestigious to him. But he lost, and the very next day, Zack dropped out of high school.
Okay. Not getting good vibes.
So despite having good grades and zero plans with what he was going to do, he just made this decision, and he told his mom he was going to move in with his dad in Seattle. His mom was confused because she was like, you guys aren't even close. They barely, even spoke on the phone, maybe saw each other once or twice a year. But he just moved up there. So now he's up in Seattle, and it's the summer of 1995. Dad, Jack, had this wonderful plan for him and his son to bond. They would go on another countrywide road trip together, but this time they were going to all of the party destinations. So they went to Savannah, Miami. They would stay for a couple days, just be basically drunk the entire time. Mind you, Zack is still only 17 at this point.
I was about to ask. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a cute little family trip.
So the next stop in this father-son trip was New Orleans, where the drinking routine began again. But this time, Zack was ready for it to end. He was tired of just partying all the time, packing up, moving, just to party somewhere else. He decided he was going to stay in New Orleans, go back to school, and get a job. But his dad did not agree with this. So he left his 17-year-old son in New Orleans by himself, where he didn't know anyone, with no place to live and no money.
He just left him there?
Yeah, because he was so mad that he didn't want to keep going on this road trip.
Party?
Um,
That's sad.
and wait, where's his mom at this point? In Seattle? No, where's she
She's
at?
back in California.
Okay, so she's nowhere near New
No.
Orleans. Okay.
I guess he kind of sort of found his way. He enrolled back into high school for a little bit at least, but he wasn't able to, like afford a place to stay
Aw.
while going to school. So he had to drop out again, and he got a job as a bartender on Bourbon Street. So everyone who worked with him and all the customers described him as super charismatic and outgoing. He would do magic tricks, to get some big tips. And while working one night, Zack met a 27-year-old woman named Lana Shupak, a tourist from Dallas. They immediately hit it off, like head over heels in love. They spent the rest of Lana's trip together, and when it was time for Lana to go home, Zack convinced her to stay in New Orleans. And she did. They moved in together, things were going great, and then Lana announced she was pregnant. And right after she announced this, Zack had his own confession. He was only 17. And Lana had no idea.
Yikes.
How do you? Okay. Huge too. So you don't think?
Yeah, he's huge. He's
6'10"
a
at
bartender.
Living
Yeah,
by
that's
himself. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean,
So I don't know if she just assumed he was older or if he lied. I don't know. It just never came up. When Lana found out he was only 17, she was like, okay, well, clearly not ready to, be a father and have a family. She's like, but I'm going to keep the kid. You don't have to stay. It's fine. Like, I'll just go back to Dallas. But Zack wanted her to keep the baby, and they wanted to be a little family.
Okay.
it seems like he's trying to do the right thing.
He started working more shifts, and their son Jackson was born by the time Zack turned 18. He soon after proposed to Lana, and shortly after their wedding, she gave birth to their second child, a daughter named Lily. So Zack's mom, Lori, was kind of confused by all of this. Like, she supported their relationship, she went to the wedding, but she knew that this wasn't what Zack wanted. But Zack trying to be the best father and husband he could be, and Lana has said at that point everything was going great. So in 2000, now 22-year-old Zack decided to enlist in the army in order to earn a better income and benefits for his family. He figured not much was going on in the world at the time.
Okay.
Just get in, get out, and everything will be okay.
That's not how that works.
Something big happened in 2001,
Yep.
and Zack ended up being deployed to Iraq. So while deployed, his best friend was blown up by a car bomb. A little Iraqi boy he had befriended and was teaching English was killed for befriending an American soldier.
Aw.
This tore Zack up.
Was he the American soldier that he got killed for?
Yeah.
That's sad.
Zack was discharged in 2004, so he's now 26 years old, coming back to New Orleans with severe PTSD and depression. He started bartending again at the Spotted Cat, but things weren't the same. Lana said he just became completely emotionless. When he did have emotions, they were angry and volatile. The couple split up in 2005, and Zack didn't tell his mother or any of his friends about the separation until months later. So he just carried on with his life. He made new friends, but he never told any of his new friends that he had a wife and kids. He basically had a double life. One of these new people he had met was a fellow bartender named Addie Hall. So I couldn't find much about Addie's life before New Orleans. Even one of the documentaries I watched with her friends in it, no one in it was in her life before she got to New Orleans. All I know is that she's from North Carolina and that she moved to New Orleans for a fresh start. Some reports said she suffered sexual abuse as a child and had been in several abusive relationships. Some said she had undiagnosed bipolar disorder. Others said she was diagnosed but wasn't on any medication. So, not too sure on that.
So two people who probably shouldn't be together.
Yes.
Bipolar and PTSD, I don't feel like are a good mix.
Addie was more of the hippie, free spirit type. When she wasn't bartending, she was painting, dancing, and sewing her own clothes. And she actually wasn't fond of Zack when they first met. He was like this cheesy military man who did magic tricks. But Zack was absolutely smitten with her. Addie worked the shift after Zack, and he began to stay late to keep her company and walk her home. And it wouldn't take long until they were in love with each other, and friends described them as glued at the hip and both happier than they had ever been. They also began partying together, drinking and doing drugs, but their relationship was going well with no issues.
At this point, was he divorced?
No, they were just separated.
Okay. But it had been a few years.
No, it'd only been a couple months.
Oh, okay.
And then Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans. So on August 27th, the mayor called for a voluntary evacuation. Not less than 24 hours later, it became a mandatory evacuation. Lana called Zack and pled for him to evacuate with her and their kids. So Lana knew Zack had a new girlfriend. Lana was like, you can invite her too, like she can evacuate with us, even though she had never met her. But Zack said no. Him and Addie were gonna ride out the Category 5 hurricane together.
Oh, those people.
Okay, not good. Yeah. I know a few of those type of people down here that like regardless of how bad it would get, they absolutely are not leaving.
It's half of Florida.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it is. It really is. And I'm like, Florida, we're probably all gonna drown someday anyways, you know, like I don't know if it's worth it at this point. But also, just to say, if he's separated from his wife and the kids, and the wife is like, hey, you can bring your girlfriend with you, but like let's all get out of here. Like, I feel like good vibes from her. Like that's
No, she seems like a really great person. So at this point in Zack and Addie's relationship, they had only been dating for 2 weeks, but their relationship grew even stronger during the storm. Loved the like apocalyptic scene, no electricity, no water.
They liked
just
it?
hanging out. They loved it.
Okay.
that's like a hippie thing.
It is a hippie thing. So they formed a little community with little fellow French Quarter residents who stayed behind. They had bonfires, they cooked food together, they had sing-alongs. Zack and Addie would break into bars and grocery stores to bring food and alcohol back to their little camp. And it wouldn't take long for them to be named the king and queen of Hurricane Katrina survivors.
All right. Whatever.
I think it was like they loved the attention of it and like
Yeah.
the sense of like superiority above the people that had evacuated and left.
Yeah, like they're the tough ones. Everybody else left. The survivors.
Yeah, we're the true New Orleanians.
Mm-hmm.
We stayed.
I feel like that's like when you mix like a hippie person and then also like a military vet, that's basically what you
I
get.
didn't even think about that. Yeah.
One of the videos I watched kept talking about how Zack becoming king of like Hurricane Katrina was like redemption for him losing homecoming king in high school. So I can kind of see that.
Interesting.
So during this whole time, Zack didn't care to contact Lana, his kids, or his family. Lana called the police, hospital, morgues, and the Red Cross on a daily basis looking for Zack and Addie. It took weeks for Lana to find out he was alive. When she Googled his name and found an article of him and Addie in their little commune, all smiley and happy in their photos with drinks. At this point, Lana decided to stop trying to contact him. She figured he was just done with his family. It wasn't until a TV interview of the couple did Zack ask to borrow one of the cameraman's cell phones to call his mom to let her know he was alive. So as the storm faded away and the cleanup efforts began, the survivor couple struggled to adjust back to normal life. They were no longer in this apocalypse and were no longer the center of attention. They shunned the people who evacuated and returned instead of, staying behind and risking their lives. But with this cleanup came the military vehicles, who drove in to help people. This immediately triggered Zack's PTSD, and he began to spiral quickly, diving even more into drinking and drugs. He did have one moment of clarity and called up Lana to tell her he was alive, and most importantly, he wanted to see his children. Lana was a little hesitant. She didn't want him to just, be in and out.
Mm-hmm.
She suggested that they all meet up with Addie and, discuss things and figure out a plan. Zack was happy to do this, but there was one thing. He still hadn't told Addie about his wife or kids.
He really did have like almost a double life.
He
Not that
did.
he was like into, like, he obviously didn't hang out with the kids or his ex-wife or anything, but like, or not even ex-wife, but I mean, for her not to know anything is, yeah, no
Yeah.
bueno.
Very no bueno. So he did tell her, and obviously she was pretty upset, but Addie was open to meeting them and having the kids around. So they all meet up at a bar, and Lana decided that Zack would have the children every other weekend. And Addie was actually pretty excited about this. She told friends she was kind of excited to be a stepmom and have the kids around. However, once the kids started to come around, she would either completely like ignore their presence when they were at the apartment, or she would just peace out for the whole weekend. She told friends she resented them because now Lana was in control. Like their whole schedules and their daily life revolved around the kids and what Lana said, not Addie. By now, the city was starting to somewhat get back to normal. Addie started working as a bartender again, and Zack worked delivering groceries. Despite also having worked as a bartender, Zack resented Addie for being one. He became super jealous and possessive, showing up to the bar anytime he could to yell at Addie for flirting for tips or dancing. Manager of the bar heard him say to Addie, quote, "If I can't have you, no one can," end quote. The manager also named them the Graveyard Couple.
Yeah, that's not, I mean, that's red flags.
Why the graveyard couple? I don't get it.
You'll see.
Okay.
I can only imagine.
The couple began fighting constantly, with both of them being physically abusive. One source I found said that Addie was super nice when she was sober, but when she was drinking, she became like super aggressive and volatile. Zack would have jealous rages or PTSD attacks. And friends and co-workers began to notice constant bruises on both of them. Zack also began to cheat around a little bit, and he carried on with this for a bit before deciding he was done. He told friends he was done with New Orleans and Addie, and that he had purchased an Amtrak ticket back to Washington. He soon took this back, and he got back together with Addie. And this would repeat again and again, and they were on again, off again, like on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's not healthy at all. I also want to point out from the pictures we're looking at, she's like very tiny. I mean, he's also, remember, 6'10", but like she's petite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like Holly size.
Yeah.
So they're having all these troubles, and then Zack began an affair with a man he met at a bar.
Oh, I didn't see that coming.
Addie didn't either. So apparently, all of his close friends knew that Zack was bisexual, but Addie did not. And when she found out, she was livid. She wasn't mad that he had an affair. She was mad that he had an affair with a man. And she began calling him every slur in the book. She stole his phone and called every contact he had, telling them that Zack had AIDS.
Oh.
One of the documentaries I watched, one of her best friends was being interviewed, and he was straight up like, yeah, she was homophobic. Okay. So they broke up again for the millionth time, and mind you, we're not even 3 months into them meeting. But of course, this didn't last very long, because the thing is, Addie had no place to stay. She called up Zack and apologized, wanting to get back together. Zack agreed. His affair with that man kind of like fizzled out, and he believed Addie was truly the love of his life. But Addie was like, okay, if we're gonna like get back together, we need to find a new apartment together, like a fresh start. So they start looking, and they found the perfect place at 826 North Rampart Street, above a voodoo temple in the French Quarter. The landlord required 2 months' rent up front, and only Zack had the money, so he paid for it. Immediately after putting down the money, on October 4th, 2006, Addie went to the landlord and took Zack off the lease. She then went upstairs and broke up with Zack again, kicking him out. Zack called up the landlord to get Addie kicked out instead. He paid, his name is on the lease, she should leave. But the landlord explained what Addie had done, and there was nothing he could do. The couple got into a huge argument all the way into the early morning of the 5th. By 1 a.m., Zack had strangled Addie to death.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Well, I mean, I assumed something was going to happen at some point, but I did not expect that right away.
There you go.
Yeah.
So for a bit, he froze, not knowing what to do. He abruptly grabbed one of Addie's journals and began to write. He wrote down everything that happened, the play-by-play of the argument, which ended up with him murdering his girlfriend. Zack then moved Addie's body to the bed, where he committed necrophilia.
Not good.
Why?
That's a no-no. I don't understand that part. I never do.
Nope. And then fell asleep beside her body.
Cool. Okay.
The next morning, Zack got up and went to work as usual. He lived life as normal for a few days, in fact. When someone brought up Addie, he would tell them they broke up and she had gone back home to North Carolina.
That happens so often with stories we tell. They just go and live their normal life for a couple days. What the heck?
I feel like they're almost I don't know if they're in shock or if they're just crazy enough. Like big denial.
I mean, it is so crazy to do. You'd have to be in shock after.
If I accidentally run over a squirrel, I'm mentally gone for a few days. I'm like, I hate myself.
Immediately pull over. I can't drive home.
I just don't get I don't get it.
So while Zack was carrying on as normal during the day, at night he would come home to the apartment where he began cutting up Addie's body in the bathtub with a saw and a kitchen knife.
Okay. Well, this is taking a turn I was just not expecting.
This is over multiple days, I guess, that he's working on this project.
Yes.
Are they, and is he in a house?
So it's like a little house. There's a shop on the first floor and the apartment's on the second floor.
And there's no smell.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
So I'm sure, I mean, I know he's got to be in shock and stuff, but he's obviously crazy to do that with the body and then to let it just to sit there and come back day after day. I mean, if you're in shock, yeah, but he's dragged, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the mental illness, the drugs, because he's still doing drugs this whole time, or it's both.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
So when he got done cutting up her body, he placed Addie's head in a pot and put it on the front of the stove burner. He put her hands and feet in another pot on the back. Her arms and legs were put in a roasting dish in the oven, and he turned them all on.
There's the Kylie story, I know. What a Kylie story. I was waiting for it.
It was a slow build-up, but we're here.
Yeah.
Is he gonna eat her?
We'll see.
Okay.
He's gonna eat her.
He's gonna eat her, right?
We'll see. So as for her torso, Zack was running out of time and patience. He didn't want to finish cutting it up, so he put it in a trash bag and stuffed it into the refrigerator. Plan had been completed. Zack began partying even harder, drinking all day and snorting a bunch of cocaine to keep going. One night, he invited a friend out to go to a strip club, all on him. He showed up with a wad of cash and a large bag of cocaine. The next night, Zack drunkenly called up Lana, asking her to come out partying with him. Lana was obviously confused, and she asked where Addie was, to which Zack replied, quote, "Oh, she's crazy. I drove her out of town," end quote. Lana was like, "Okay, but I'm still not going out. Have fun, though." So in the documentary I watched on True Crime Central, Lana said she now believes this was Zack trying to say goodbye to her. When she didn't come out, Zack took his cigarette and burned himself 28 times, the number of years he had lived. On the night of October 17th, 2006, he headed to the Omni Royal Orleans Hotel in the heart of the French Quarter. At the rooftop bar, he racked up a pretty large bill, enough for the staff to be concerned he would dine and dash. Instead, he walked over to the ledge and jumped.
You're hitting us with these crazy things, so nonchalantly.
So remember the note I talked about in the beginning that the coroner found? I will finally read it.
Oh, yeah.
The note said, quote, "Police only. This is not accidental. I had to take my own life to pay for the one I took. If you send a patrol car to 826 North Rampart, you will find the dismembered corpse of my girlfriend Addie in the oven, on the stove, and in the fridge. And a full signed confession from myself. Signed, Zack Bowen." So police immediately scurried to the apartment above the Voodoo Temple to find it was absolutely freezing. The air conditioning had been set as low as it could go. On the walls were spray painted messages. They read things like, I love her, I'm a total failure, I'm such a loser, please help me stop the pain, call Lana Bowen, with wife in parentheses. One message said, look in the oven, with an arrow pointing directly to it, but on the oven, there was a spray painted message that read, don't look. Much to their hesitation, police did open it, and all of the pots and the fridge. They found that the skin and hair was peeling off, a sign that the body parts had been cooked. A note found in the apartment had instructions Zack had written down for himself: how to cut up the body, how to cook the remains to get rid of the smell, and a reminder to set the temperature as low as possible to slow down decomposition. And, spoiler alert, or an answer, the autopsy of Zack showed that he did not consume any of the body parts.
Oh, so he, like, literally, he cooked her to get rid of any potential smell.
Yes.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, if he's going to, off himself, why would he
Do all this cover up and clean up?
Yeah, but he's obviously not mentally, absolutely not there.
We do have one last note that Zack wrote in a journal found in the apartment. It says, quote, today is Monday, 16 October, 2 a.m. I killed her at 1 a.m. Thursday, the 5th of October. I very calmly strangled her. It was very quick. Halfway through the task, I stopped and thought about what I was doing. The decision to halt the first idea and move to Plan B, the crime scene you are in now, came after a while. I scared myself not by the action of calmly strangling the woman I've loved for 1.5 years and then desecrating her body, but by my entire lack of remorse. I've known forever how horrible of a person I am. Ask anyone. I decided to quit my job and spend the $1,500 cash I had being happy until I killed myself. So that's what I did. Good food, good drugs, good strippers, good friends, and any loose ends I may have had. I didn't contact any of my family, so that'll explain the shock. And had a fantastic time living out my days. It's just about time now. End quote.
This is like really sad.
Yeah, it is.
So the news of the murder and suicide was everywhere in New Orleans, almost 24/7 on the local and state news. And the media deemed Zack the butcher of New Orleans. He was no longer the king. The apartment that the two shared and where Addie tragically passed away is now a museum you can visit, with everything still intact, including the oven. So the voodoo spiritual temple below the apartment mysteriously suffered severe fire damage and had to move locations, but there's a new place that has moved in since. More eerily, people who have visited the apartment have felt paranormal presences. The apartment was featured on the show Paranormal Lockdown, where they claimed to have felt a draft and smelled burning in the kitchen. Some believe that the apartment was haunted before Zack and Addie moved in, and that was the cause of all this. In my opinion, they seemed a little doomed from the jump, though.
Yeah, I don't think it was the place.
Don't think it was the ghost.
No, I think maybe, a sprinkle mental health.
And that was the story of the graveyard couple that was Addie Hall and Zack Bowen.
Dude, I've never heard of that. Kind of shocked, because I feel like that's something that like we would have heard of. Not even gonna go into a spiel. All I'm gonna say is mental health, military veterans, medicine, drugs, combination. Not good. But dang. I've never even heard, like, would you guys have even thought, well, I mean, obviously I don't think so because we've never really thought about this, but cooking human parts to get rid of a smell, I wouldn't have even thought of that. Like,
I don't
even think of that.
I don't know if it was like effective or if it's a thing. I mean, he was clearly like off his rockers here, so I don't even know if that was like a logical thing.
Because I feel like let's say you like cook chicken. Doesn't the whole place smell like chicken?
Yeah. I guess. Yeah.
I don't know.
What I think is interesting is that I think that without Hurricane Katrina being there, I think he probably would have been caught and maybe could have alleviated some of this just because he was going through such a crazy period where he was like forming this mob and robbing gas stations and doing all this stuff. But I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong, but I imagine after Katrina, it was hard to keep up with all the crime going on. He wouldn't have been living in just like this chaotic environment. He might have been caught and maybe prevented.
I think there was a lot of factors to that.
Yeah, maybe gotten him some like mental health help, or he would be in jail or something like that.
Yeah.
But then I guess if that wouldn't have happened, he wouldn't have ever been doing it. So I don't know.
I feel bad for, I mean, obviously you feel bad for his girlfriend, but his wife that he was separated from and the kids. Can you imagine like the kids? They're now older, like they're gonna know what happened. There's news everywhere.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
No, that's nuts. What a story, dude.
I do have one more thing. Want to go on our Instagram page real quick?
Okay.
Go to the post for the day 7 of our 12 Days of Murder we did for Christmas. I'll read a little synopsis for the listeners while you look over it. So in 2012, Terry Speaks and Margaret Sanchez recruited a dancer on Bourbon Street to come to their house for a party. This woman was 22-year-old Jaron Lockhart. The following day, parts of Jaron's body began washing ashore in the Mississippi River. Terry and Margaret were later identified by CCTV footage of the strip club, but searches of their home turned up nothing. They ended up getting caught by their own love letters to each other while in prison for other crimes. In the end, they both pled guilty. Terry got 2 life sentences and Margaret got 40 years. Are you guys ready for the fun fact?
Is this a relative?
Margaret was one of Addie's best friends and even appeared in a documentary about Addie on ABC called Final Witness, where she tearfully recounted her best friend and all of their memories and how tragic her murder was.
Are you serious?
Full circle. Wow.
What
Wait,
are the odds?
What? I mean, big odds. Big odds. Because this happened before this new couple got in trouble.
Yes.
Wow.
6 years later.
Yeah.
How'd you find this story? Did you find it because of that connection, or did it just happen?
No, it just happened. I did that one for the little advent calendar, and then I was researching this one and happened to find it. And I was like, oh shit.
Wow.
You didn't know that they were related?
No.
That's nuts. Yo, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
And with that, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Over My Dead Pod. If you want even more information, including photos of the case, you can check out our blog on overmydeadpod.com. Be sure to leave us a review wherever you're listening to this, and check us out on social media at Over My Dead Pod. And we'll see you next week with another case. Bye.
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 We're going to jump into overtime.
Overtime. Overtime.
Are you guys partying for St. Patrick's Day?
I don't even know when that is, so probably not. I have a child.
Sunday.
It's Sunday? No, probably not. I don't know. Kylie, are you going out partying?
Yeah, I'll be in New Orleans.
Are you really? Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
She's a New Orleans hoe.
Okay, but Kylie, you're going to be by yourself, right?
I'm just going to go to the parade because I do have work on Monday morning.
Yeah, but you're going to be by yourself there.
Yeah.
What the heck is wrong with you? You're going to New Orleans by yourself. Why?
I feel like Bourbon Street and like the parade and everything by yourself can be a little sketch.
We'll see.
Okay.
Still goes.
We have your location, right?
Yeah.
Kylie, never
Okay.
in my entire life would I do anything by myself. Like, even
Holly, you would get kidnapped, let's be honest. Out of the 3 of us, you'd be the first one getting kidnapped.
for sure.
Yeah.
I've never done anything by myself. I've only ever gone out to eat dinner at a restaurant by myself one time. I'm trying to open my little wings and fly these next
It's
2 weeks.
hard though. Like I totally get that. The only time I've gone to a restaurant by myself is one that I worked at on my off nights, and I would sit at the bar. So like, yeah,
That's
no,
what
I
I'm gonna have
totally
to
get
do is
that.
sit at the bar. Yeah, so
When
I'm
is
trying to
when is the parade?
Sunday.
Okay, I'm literally gonna be following
It's
your location that whole day.
okay.
I'm proud
It's
of you,
like
but I also think you're crazy.
thanks. It's during the day. It's like an
I don't
afternoon
care.
parade.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
that's like Holly. You've never been to New Orleans, have you?
yeah, I have once.
Oh, you have? Okay, yeah. No, it's like just a ton of people.
Yeah.
Everyone's drunk. Kylie, dear God, please, please do not get drunk.
I will be. Because again, I have work on Monday morning. I'm gonna be working from Central Time,
Yeah, not
working
convincing at
86
all.
hours.
Okay. What does that have to? All right. I'm probably gonna call you a few times on Sunday.
Okay, I'll FaceTime
I'm
the
gonna be
parade.
watching FaceTime us. I'll be
Yeah,
watching
listeners harass
facing.
Kylie.
Yeah. Send us we want an hourly on the dot picture of where you are.
Over
Okay.
My Dead Pod will be Twitch streaming from New Orleans.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
yeah. We
Yes,
don't even have a Twitch account, but I'm gonna make Cameron set one up.
we can do it.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh my
my
God,
God, I
we should
should.
get the head camera GoPro for Kylie and like just live stream.
I was thinking like a Where's Waldo thing. I'll just like update it on our Instagram. Like, where's
Yeah.
Kylie?
That's cute. He's
That's
cute.
so funny though. That would be, or like those cameras that like stick off the head and it's you.
Yeah, that will definitely not attract any attention on
That would
Bourbon
be
Street.
hilarious. No, unless something happened to you and then it would attract attention. So we don't want that.
If you had a camera on your head, you'd never probably get kidnapped.
That's
Yeah,
true. That's true.
that's a good point.
Yeah. Maybe we should do it. Just like we were gonna give Holly the GoPro when she was doing her triathlon, and we were like, if
Yeah.
she dies, at least we'll have video of it.
I really would have done it for the plot though, Would have done
I
it for
know.
y'all.
You would have
Okay.
died for the plot, or you would have filmed it.
Both.
Well, I wouldn't have meant to die, but if I did die, at least I would have recorded it for you guys.
And GoPro's like, if you had drowned, the GoPro would still work. Like it's
Yeah.
made me laugh. So, and Over My Dead Pod fans, if something happens, we'll let you know. We'll keep you updated.
I give you guys permission to make several episodes about my case.
Okay, but do we have to say the whole like spiel about like she was so loved as a child, she was the happiest thing ever, she was an
None
angel.
of none of that is true. So
Yeah,
no.
yeah. Oh,
Not because it's not true, but because I know Kylie better than that.
yeah, there's no way.
I'll write my little intro and backstory for you guys and email it.
Okay, thank you. And let us know what song you want at the funeral.
Yeah, if you're gonna die, at least save us some trouble.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
will. Okay.
If you want to like send some money for your wake and stuff too.
There better be an open bar at my wake and funeral.
Okay, okay, we can do that for you.
Thank you.
We can do
Yeah.
that for you.
If you want someone dressed up as Shrek, then you're gonna have to put money into our pockets.
Yeah.
Wait, that is a great idea. Shrek themed funeral.
I feel like we could get Cameron to do that as your one last wish.
Oh, for sure.
We'll see.
Shrek. Cameron would be a good Shrek.
He's got the height, and we could
Yeah.
just bald cap, which he hates.
Fat
Um,
suit.
yeah, fat suit, and he would do that for your final wish.
Thank you, Cameron.
Yeah, yeah. So
I'm gonna put that in my will.
okay, you should. That would be hilarious. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.